Hello and welcome to how to make a movie in Windows Movie Maker. In this part I'm going to show you the actual Windows Movie Maker layout, and in up and coming parts we're going to make a movie in stages, step by step. So on the left hand side, as you can see, we've got what we call the tasks, movie tasks. So we've got capture video, edit movie, finish movie. At the bottom we've got movie making tips. This is quite a good section to actually look under. If ever you get lost in wanting to do something, the actual Movie Maker task is incredibly helpful. They're all hyperlinked, so when you actually click on it, you get a bundle of information. Going back to movie making tips, how to capture video, how to edit clips, it's quite useful. How to add titles, effects and transitions, and how to save and share movies. What I find very useful, like I say, is movie making tips, especially edit clips and add titles, effects and transitions. If you click on there, plethora of information there, video transitions, video effects, titles and credits, and also related topics. So you'll find any one of those headings, and whatever you're looking for, click under the hyperlink and it's full of information. In the middle section, we've got the collection section, and this is where your imported videos or imported photos for your video will go. And on the right hand side you've got the Windows Movie Maker screen. At the bottom you've got what we call the timeline, and if I click on show timeline, so we're literally on the storyboard at the moment. So the timeline is the flip side of the storyboard and vice versa. It allows you to widen the actual buttons, as you can see there. It's a good idea to have it sort of slightly wide, especially if you're working on it. This is where you actually drag your photos down, and this is where you actually make your movie. Also on the timeline we've got audio and music section, and you can actually import some music to put with your movie, and we've got what we call title overlay. I'll go into that section a bit more along the line, but basically you can add titles to your photos. You can actually type on them, etc, etc. Now, one thing I might add, Windows Movie Maker, it's a good software, right? It's good software. The only thing is, it tends to go incredibly slow. Windows Movie Maker also crashes quite often, you'll find. It will save a copy of your work. If you go to Tools at the top here, click on Tools. Now if we go to Options, now in Options you've got three tabs. You've got General, Advanced and Compatibility. And further down we've got three boxes here, and in the middle it's ticked and it says save auto recovery info every. Now yours will be set at a default setting of 10 minutes. Now I found that when it crashes and it saves a copy, it mightn't save your last or your latest changes. So you'll probably sort of be working on your movie, you've probably done a lot of work and it may well crash. The best thing to do, what I've done, I've actually changed it to every 1 minute, so you can sort of click up and down obviously. I've put 1 minute because I've been making quite a few videos lately, and I found that when I'm making changes, I've made a lot of changes and then it crashes and I've lost all that work and I have to do it again. So if I put it to sort of like 1 minute, it ensures that, you know, you're sort of like, you know, will be very up to date in terms of the changes that you've made. So I've put mine on 1, and also what I need to mention, if we go to the second tab along, which is the advanced tab, now here you'll have your default settings, and the default settings are assigned to each picture transition. Now the picture duration is at a default setting of 5 seconds. Now I found that, for instance, I make a lot of nature videos, and 5 seconds is just not enough in terms of viewing the pictures of, you know, beautiful nature, etc, etc. And if they're sort of relaxing meditational type things, I tend to sort of stick them sort of like more so on about 15 to 20 seconds. So your picture will last in terms of its view before it's transitioned for 20 seconds. Some of you, you know, it depends on what kind of movie you're making, you may want to lessen that, or you might be quite happy with it for 5 seconds. And the reason I'm showing you this now is because I found that before you start your project, you ought to set this first, because I've tried to set it after I've started my project and it hasn't taken it. It's only when I've actually started it before, set it before I started my project, and then it's quite happy to take it. So once you've made your changes, you click OK. You might want to do it separate to ensure. You might want to click OK on that and then go back to Tools, just Texture, Picture Options. And then when you do your picture duration, etc., just click on OK to ensure that all happens. That's before you import your photos and before you bring them down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just demonstrate that process. I'm going to go to File, Start New Project. Now if I go to the Tools menu, go to Options, I've set Save Auto Recovery Info for 1 minute. So by default it's on 10 minutes. By setting it to 1, you know, if it does crash, it's literally saving your work literally every 1 minute, so you'll more than likely get an up-to-date version if you have it on a lesser numeral than a larger one. So remember, we go to Advanced, which is the second tab along, and if we look, what I'm going to do is keep the picture duration on 5 seconds to show you the difference. Transitional duration, if I click Restore All Defaults, so the default transition duration is 1.25. I'll go into the transition duration after. I don't want to overload with all this techie stuff at first, but the main thing is the picture duration is for 5 seconds. That's good. Okay, so I click on OK on that. And I'm going to import some pictures just to show you. little demonstration. So I'll just choose 2 or 3 for now. I think I'll have that one, and I'll click on import, and that imports to the collection center area. One thing to remember, Windows Movie Maker does tend to be quite slow sometimes. It's a very good software, just it's quite slow and it tends to crash quite often. Let's wait. Oh, there we go. Excellent day. So I'm going to select all 3. I'm going to drag them down to the timeline. Okay, so if we widen there. We'll go into the timeline a little bit down the line. For now I'm going to click on the storyboard because it makes my illustration a little bit more clearer, and I think I'll put this one at the beginning. I think it's still kind of, Windows is still slow and it's not actually taking it. Okay, let's try something. It's not doing what I want it to do. It's very slow, it's just completely hanging. It tends to give all its resources sort of probably background programs, and consequently Windows Movie Maker tends to sort of run quite slow. So you're going to have to work with it on a slower pace than you would do with most other software. If this is not all coming together sort of initially, and it's slightly techy, if you know, those of us who hadn't used a movie making software before, making a video in a movie, Windows Movie Maker or any other software, it slowly sort of like all comes together, etc. So I do encourage you, if you watch my other episodes, do come back to 1 or 2, or the ones that weren't clear, because then it will all come together because you'd had worked on Windows Movie Maker, and you can sort of all put it together. It will sort of be a lot more clearer. Okay, so I've got my transitions in, and what we're going to do, if it's working with me, we're going to play that. So if we watch over here in the actual screen, the duration of the picture will last for 5 seconds. That's it for part 1. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and do join me for part 2 of how to make a movie in Windows Movie Maker.